YouTubers coming at you with another Benko game, and this one is from 1973 between Kamara and Benko. So Benko had the black pieces. Game started d4, knight f6, c4, c5, d5, b5 here, c takes b5, a6, b takes, and bishop takes. So knight c3, d6, knight f3, g6. Nothing new here. So pretty standard move order. e4 was played. And now bishop takes f1. So this is like the main way that black gets compensation here by trading bishops. As soon as e4 is played, black normally trades bishops. So bishop takes here, and white normally always takes with the king instead of the rook, mainly because they later try to tuck the king away and get the rook into play in this fashion. In this game, we'll see white go for that. So bishop g7 here. And actually, in this game, white played h3 first. So h3 is meant to stop this knight going to g5. We know that this is a pretty good maneuver in a lot of lines. I don't know if it was really necessary on move 10, but h3 makes a lot of sense here. And then after castling, king g1, so the king is actually running possibly to this square, knight a6, king h2. So that's exactly what he did. So h3 was multi-purpose. So there's another move here. Instead of h3, white could have played g3 followed by king g2 in this position. This position, h3 stops knight g5 and prepares the king walk to h2. So knight a6 was played, king h2, and by the way, black could have just as easily played knight to d7, but knight it's a king h2, queen b6. So as we said before, the queen normally goes to b6, queen e2, and then rook to b8. So these two maneuvers, queen b6, rook b8, those you're going to see in I would say the majority of Benko Gambit games. And knight d2 was played. So knight d2, maybe just trying to mobilize the pawns on this side of the board and swing the queen over here where it could help on the queen side. So knight c7, knight c4 by white, attacking the queen. Queen a6, bishop d2. And now knight d7, so opening up this bishop. Rook h e1, and knight e5 was played. So you see the knight maneuvering like this instead of like this. So the knight still ended up on e5 just via a different route. And so that could have been why black earlier put the knight on a6 and then on c7, because if the knight went to d7, then this knight wouldn't have this d7 e5 maneuver. Okay, so knight e5, knight takes on e5, but I want to look at a move like b3, just defending that knight. Knight takes on c4, queen takes c4, or they could take with the pawn. Queen takes queen, and pawn takes. Rook b2 is just too powerful here. So that would have been really good for white if b3 had been played. However, white decided to take this knight, right? So bishop takes check, f4, bishop d4. So the bishop got on a good square here where it's defended. Bishop c1 was played, and queen takes e2. Rook takes e2. So a lot of the times, um, black has no problem trading queens in these lines because the end games that they normally get after these queen trades are very good. So they simplify king f8, knight d1, f5. So e takes f5, g takes f5, bishop e3. So you can see black does have a positional advantage and is ahead on development. So he doesn't really have to do anything special here. That's the beauty of it. Bishop e3, knight takes d5. No, there's no reason to take that bishop. There's no reason to take this and just let the knight come into play. So yeah, just standing his ground. C takes d4, rook d2, and e5, connecting all the pawns and defending this. And you can see already, those 3 pawns in the center of the board are just absolutely dominating for black right here. Knight f2 was tried, king e7, a3, knight e3, rook e1, queen b3, knight d3, and rook b5, king g1, king d6, knight b4, knight d5. Because otherwise rook takes is the threat, right? There's this pin. So knight d5, knight d3. So the knight was hit twice. That's why he moved it. If instead knight takes d5 here, king takes d5, and you can see this, black's king just helps all these pawns, and there's really no hope here. So after knight d3 was played here, e4, knight c1, d3, just totally dominant position here. g4, white trying to hit back at the center a little bit, but it just speeds up his own death after knight f6. Rook f1 here, rook g8, pinning this pawn. King h1, king e6, just consolidating. Knight a2, f takes g. And after white doubled on this file, right, just desperately looking for these counterplay idea. Rook g6 just defends. Knight c3, attacking the rook. Rook h5, exclam. Game over. Game over. As you see, everything is defended. This pawn is pinned. These 3 pawns are all 3 dangerous, and it's just too much. So white resigned in that position, and we got one more game to go. And I hope it's exciting since it's the last one. Thank you.